I walked into my local Target store and ended up going to the video game section, which I always do, and I ended up seeing a PlayStation Portal in the store, which was crazy to me. So obviously I had to pick it up and see if this thing was even worth it. It kind of caught my attention purely because this is basically the Wii U gamepad, but for the PlayStation 5. And I absolutely love the DualShock controller, so I feel like these two are a match made in heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and see kind of if it's worth it. We're going to play through it a little bit and see if this was something I should even pick up. It is $200 retail, and it released back in like November, so it's been like 6 or 7 months, but I've been waiting till I actually see one in a retail store to pick it up. That way I can tell you that you can walk into a retail store and find them. So let's go ahead and start off by peeling back one of the stickers here if I can, and if I can't, I'll just cut it, but hopefully this will rip. It's not ripping easy, so let's go ahead and cut it like this. No problem here. I don't like to rip these things off because sometimes they do just straight up rip the box, and I'd rather it be cut than ripped. So let's go ahead and set those down. And right off the bat, we're going to pull this thing out and see kind of what we've got here. Okay, so it looks like there's a box inside the box that didn't want to come out for some reason. So let's go ahead and slide that back together and show you that this is what it looks like when you first take it out of the box. Right there, you've got the remote player for the PlayStation 5, which is pretty interesting. And then on the back, it looks like it's got a bunch of little specs and tells you a little bit more about the console, which I think is cool. But you've got this nice little triangle, circle, X, square buttons logo, which I always find it hard to say because every single company is different. So bear with me, forgive me on that. But you just got to pull it out right here. This is a pretty good presentation so far. I think this is going to look really sweet. Just got to pull this open and set this aside. It looks like there is a cord in here, which is probably just what I would assume is like a power cord or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and open up one of the sides and pull it out and see what it is. And yeah, it's just a USB-C to USB-C cord, which will be nice, and I'll use that in just a bit. And then this is what we see. Nothing too fancy here, but it does look nice. And then down below, I'm assuming there is, and it is the instructions, which, you know, I'm not going to read here. So we're just going to put everything down to the floor here, and then we are going to slide this thing right out of the little cover, and it looks awesome. This thing is probably going to be pretty awesome. I'll definitely use this. I think it's a little specific niche probably, but I think this is going to be cool. It feels really pretty light. It's a little heavier than the Switch, I would say, but probably because of those controllers, they are massive. This is lighter than this, so that's pretty interesting to me. I absolutely love the Switch, so you know I've got to compare it to that. So I'm going to peel this right off, and then we are going to turn it on. It looks like the buttons are here on the top, and hopefully this thing isn't dead, because I'd like to see how it charges and everything. Let me see what this... Oh, there it goes. It's turning on. Look how awesome that looks. I'm going to get the sticker out of here before I actually stick it to my desk, because I don't want that to happen. Here we go. It is exactly just the PlayStation logo. Nothing too fancy yet. So let's go see if this is going to load or what. I'm assuming you have to set it up to your console and everything, which is one thing that this is very interesting to me about, is you actually have to hook it up to your console, and that's pretty much the only way you can use it. But I digress. I'm going to go ahead and fill out some of these, and then we'll get back to it. After playing this for a little bit, I think it's definitely awesome. It's very interesting compared to like if I had my phone plugged into like a backbone controller, which I happen to have right here, which this is actually the Xbox one, but you know what I'm talking about. It feels a lot better because you are using basically a DualSense controller here, and the screen is bigger than my cell phone, but for the majority of this, it is basically just using remote play, so you're not getting anything crazy there. However, I do think I like the feel of this a little bit better. Now, I did notice that the thumbsticks are actually a little smaller, which I thought was kind of interesting. The weight of this thing is pretty good. I feel like after a few hours, my arms aren't going to be very tired, which happens when I use my Steam Deck for too long. I'm like, okay, my arms kind of start to feel it. But I think this is probably the good weight. And honestly, I love the DualSense controller, so I think that aspect of this is pretty cool. So if you are a fan of the Wii U, this is pretty much the same thing. Now, obviously this is $200 and you have to have the PlayStation 5 on top of that, but I definitely think this is a cool concept. If your phone and a backbone or something like that isn't enough, I definitely think this is worth it. I don't think it's worth paying over $200. I think that's probably a decent deal for this because the controller itself is like $70 and the screen maybe another $120 makes it $200. I don't know about that one, but I feel like this is probably a pretty decent thing, especially if you've got a TV where your PlayStation's hooked up to and someone else is using it. You can just pick this thing up and play it and not even have to use your phone or drain your phone battery, which I think is the biggest bonus of having this thing. Means you don't have to have your phone strapped to something and you're not getting distracted by that aspect of it. But I think this is definitely an interesting concept. Would I like to see Sony and PlayStation come out with an actual other console that's portably? Yes, but for the most part, I think this will work. I'll probably have to try this out a few different places, not on my home Wi-Fi, which it currently is now, but I'll probably have to take this out in the wild, use it, and see if it's worth it or not. But what do you think? Would you pick this thing up? I think it's definitely interesting and well worth the money if you want that specific kind of play style where you're not strapped to a TV, which is why I love the Switch so much. So I think this is not a bad idea. It's just overpaying for it and paying over retail is not a good idea. So would I pick this up if I didn't have one already or didn't have the channel? Probably purely because I loved the Wii U and I feel like this is basically a Wii U attachment gamepad. So I'd love to see what kind of games would benefit from having this. Like Zombie U on the Wii U, you could play and look down and you would miss stuff. I wonder if there are any games that take advantage of actually using this, but probably not. I think it would be cool though if you're a game developer and you do that. Let me know because I'll definitely play your game. But I love the DualSense controller and I think this goes well with it. So definitely a good pickup for me. But what do you think? Would you ever pick this thing up? I think it's interesting for sure. I'm getting out of here though, probably to finish this game up. So if you haven't seen that video right there, go ahead and do it right now if you'd like to. If not, no biggie, go watch another one of my videos. But I'm pleasantly surprised. This feels nice. It looks good. I think people are probably going to complain because the frame rate, but I mean, it's a handheld console that's using remote play. I think it's good for what it is, but $200 might be a little too much. If this was like $120 or $150, I'd definitely say buying it. But overall, I think I'll enjoy it. So I'm getting out of here, so check out that video out if you haven't already.